What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Monster Bass channel. I'm Jeff with the Aggressively Average Anglers, and we're talking all about power finesse in this baddie right here, the Ned rig. And yes, this one's dirty because it fell in the dirt. Don't worry about it. So the Ned rig obviously is just a short stick bait. We've all heard about it at this point. Some of us love it, some of us hate it. It's also often seen as just this really slow, subtle, finesse-y technique. I'm here to tell you today that it doesn't need to be that way. In fact, I never fish it that way. Even right now, it's freezing cold out here. We're literally, our fingertips are gone. I got my man CGP behind the camera. So serious.
Very cold.
We are freezing out here. It is cold. There is ice on the shoreline right now in Michigan, and it is friggin' end of March almost. So even at times like this, you can power fish the Ned rig, and it's really effective. So what do I mean by power fishing? What I mean is go to your heavier jig. This is a 1/4 ounce Ned head. This is the Ned Locks from Z-Man. What the 1/4 ounce allows me to do is get this bait where I want it, and realize the Ned rig sits like this on the bottom with that jig head down. This is going to stand up straight because of the Z-Man Elastec. And if you use any other plastics, just make sure that they float really well, so you're going to have a great presentation. With that 1/4 ounce though, I can hop this thing way faster, right? I can move this thing faster. I can swim this thing faster. I can cover more water in less time. And that's kind of the point of what I'm doing. And what I'm looking for too is I want to generate those reaction strikes. So using an EWG like this allows me to hook it into just the nastiest spots you can think about throwing a bait. You wouldn't throw trebles where you're throwing this Ned rig. So anywhere you see some sort of lay down, you got trees, you got grass, you got stuff that you're going to get hung up on with any other bait, that's where I throw this Ned. And by doing that, I'm kind of like knocking on the door of these bass, and they're hungry and they're reactive, and they're gonna come bite this thing. I've had amazing success fishing this way, and I want to show you guys a couple of options as well as the gear that I would use when I'm rigging for this purpose. So let's start with the gear. So in this case, I'm using a medium stick. Monster Bass just came out with a full line of rods. Highly recommend you guys go look at the Lunker sticks on our website, monsterbass.com. The medium is going to give me the backbone that I need to really set this hook. We are talking about, you know, a slightly lighter wire, yet it's a jig. Right, so it's a jig, and I've got EWG, so I got to punch through this Elastec to get to the fish's mouth. I want a little more backbone with this setup, and I'm fishing heavy. So if I get into heavy cover and I do get snagged up, which is going to happen from time to time, just be ready for it. There are a lot of tricks we can do. We can do the little bowstring move. We can pop the lure and hopefully it comes off. If it's shallow enough, we can kind of like press it off with the rod. But generally, you're going to have to work it out of that cover. So make sure you got the backbone to do so. You're also going to want a fast action. So by that, I mean, you can see that the rod breaks further towards the tip. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me the sensitivity as well as the hook penetration power that I'm going to need to set the hook on these fish and make sure that I land them. If I don't get good hook penetration, I'm going to lose those fish. Half the time it's like just barely in their lip, and as you're reeling them in, that's when the lure pops off. That's heartbreaking. We all hate to see it. So make sure you got that backbone. Make sure you got that fast action tip. You're going to be in a good spot. As far as the reel goes, it's a spinning setup, so just grab your favorite spinning reel. Doesn't matter too much on that. Last thing I'm going to say on the gear is you need braid for this one because you're going to deal with some heavy stuff. So put on some braid. I tend to prefer to go to like a 10-pound test braid, and that's plenty for this on this medium setup. You could go a little higher. You could go 12. You could go 15, depending on your cover. If I'm down in Texas fishing a Ned and I got those nasty trees and stumps and all that, I'm probably going 15-pound test. So choose appropriately depending on where you're at and the line ratings on your rod and reel. Make sure you make a wise decision there. I also go high vis with that braid. That's going to allow me to see the line, because sometimes you're going to miss those strikes. You're in the cover, you're constantly getting hung up, you don't know what's a bite, what's not a bite. Now I can watch for active movement on that line, and I can see when I have one. And you gotta go with a leader. I don't care if you guys are out there saying it's a placebo effect or like whatever, like you're missing bites if you're not using a fluorocarbon leader in this case. That's gonna allow me to keep the bait where I want it. I don't want mono, I don't want floating line. Fluoro sinks, it's nearly invisible in the water. That's what you want. That way those line sensitive fish, they're not gonna skip over your bait. because it's juicy and you want them to eat it. As far as bait selection for this, we're going with the mini stick baits. You're generally going about a 3-inch plastic or less. I'm gonna show you some of my favorite choices for this. When I'm power finessing, I want something dark, something light, something flashy, and that's pretty much it. So I've got like this many plastics, I'm good. In a recent Monster Bass box, we had the Z-Man takeover. I got this PB&J. That's the Finesse TRD. That's like your staple Ned rig setup. That is the plastic most people have. Personally, this is my favorite. This is the copper truce color. It just works so much better. So we got that chartreuse back. It's a kind of a split colorway with green pumpkin, black, and copper flake. The copper makes a major difference. Because we're power finessing, sometimes we throw stuff that's not just a simple stick bait, something that's more like a creature maybe, or has more action. Great example would be a grub. Just grab something like these big bite bait grubs. They're super cheap. You get, I don't know, 10 to a pack. 10 to a pack, look at that. Gives you something different, good action, and if you swim retrieve your Neds, this is gonna look awesome. You're gonna get bit. You can go with a creature. I recently got these on clearance on Tackle Warehouse for like $3. These are the Savage Gear Salamanders. It's actually like the perfect Ned rig. Look at this thing. So this is chartreuse and a pearly kind of clear bottom to it. We got a couple different colors. There's the mud bug that Paul picked up, which is a pretty juicy color as well. And this is just gonna look awesome because you get those added appendages for action there. It's, I mean, the ribbed body, the everything, it's high action. It's high octane. Last but definitely not least, one of our absolute favorites on the Aggressively Average Anglers, we have mule fishing plastics. So this is the donkey tail. If I'm power finessing, I'm not going smaller than this. 2.8 inches. It's got a paddle tail to it, as you can see. I got a light color that's very natural. I got a dark color that's gonna show up. Depending on the clarity of the water I'm fishing, I've got the right setup. And these are perfect for not only swimming, as you would obviously think, because they have paddle tails, you can also hop these on the bottom. They have great action. They're that high durability, high stretch material, so they float really well, and they're gonna be the perfect Ned presentation. All right. There you go. That's all the stuff that I would bring. There's your gear, there's your line, there's your baits that are actually thrown on. And like I said, I highly recommend for the jig, just go get a Z-Man Ned Locks. They're like the perfect EWG style jig. They'll hold on to your bait forever, especially if it's that durable plastic. You won't be upset. You're gonna have a good time on the water. All right, well, I'm gonna go fish these things.
I thought when you were holding those baits up to your face, I thought it was gonna be like, depending on the complexion of your skin, you can pick this up.
How do I feel today? Am I a soft summer or a hard winter?
Oh, no.
Well, you're looking at a hard winter right now.
Oh, God, the wind.
Woo. And just like that, God, you could be out here in the ice as well.
Did you want to be just like me?
So in these gale force winds, I'm gonna do my best to give you a quick tip here. If you're power finessing, you're just gonna bomb a cast out there. You're gonna let it sink to the bottom with a 1/4 ounce weight. It's gonna get down there quick. And then you're doing some quick rod action, reeling up the slack. Quick rod action, reel up the slack. That's pretty much it. And ideally, look for a spot where you can pitch this in to the cover. So if you get up on the tree line, like way over there, where we're gonna go today, that's where I really wanna be fishing this. And I'm looking for that heavy cover. And then just twitching that Ned, it's gonna kind of like scoot on the bottom and move with some good action. And that's when you get those reaction bites. All right, I just caught every fish in this lake. Here's the deal, you guys. Try different techniques. So just because you heard that the Ned rig is this really slow, dead sticking style technique doesn't mean that's how you have to fish it. Add your own flavor to it. Highly recommend try to take a power finesse approach to it this year. Get out there, find some cover, pitch into that stuff, and just hop that baby around. You're gonna get bit more often. Enjoy fishing the Ned rig. You can fish it actively. It can be a ton of fun. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. And as always, make sure to subscribe to the Monster Bass channel and hopefully the Aggressively Average Anglers channel. And I hope to see you guys over there. See you on the next video.